Hello, Elevator Talk episode 4. Today we are talking about alignment. Thank you guys for joining in, and I believe this is episode 4. Let me confirm to make sure I'm not losing my mind. And it is episode 4. Elevator Talk episode 4, alignment. My name is Myron Fletcher. Today we have Clarence Black with us, and today we're just going to talk about the topic alignment. As you know, in Elevator Talk, we're 100% transparent, and we just talk about what's on our hearts and what's on our minds. This particular topic comes from the background of about a month ago. It was heavy on my heart and mind, really, to talk about alignment, being around the right people at the right time, and constantly surrounding yourself around people who are driven, goal oriented, and with the same mindset that you have, pushing you in the right direction. And that's kind of where we're going to talk about today. We come off the dome like we always do, and just talk about alignment, the keys to alignment. What is alignment? Why is it needed? And X, Y, and Z. So I'll pass it over to you, Clarence. Do a quick intro, and let's kick this bad boy off.
Right. So, as my bro said, Clarence Black, episode 4, talking about alignment. It's going to be a really good conversation. Not too long, but just getting straight to the meat of just how important it is to be aligned with the right people, and then maybe dive a little bit into being, I guess, like how do you hang around like-minded people that's maybe be aligned to your goals or very similar values or things like that. So, I'm excited, looking forward to it. Here we are.
Perfect, perfect. And as you guys know, I'm a car guy, so I got to kick it off with talking about the thing that I think all of us can relate to, and it's tires. And what I mean is, every day, all of us get up, whether we're on the bus, on a bike, in a car, on a motorcycle, on a train. Sometimes everything has wheels. Those wheels have tires on them. Those tires have to be in alignment, or else it can cause issues. And this is key. Understand this. Alignment of the four tires have to have a certain percentage of camber built in. And camber deals with how the tire relays inward or outward, right? And all tires can be like this. I don't know if you guys have seen some people drive on tires and they're like driving like this on the freeway. That's perfectly fine. Why? Because the other tires are in alignment with it. And when you're in alignment in the crazy direction, even though it's a crazy direction, the tires are stacked up, they still work because they're in alignment. And it's the same way if you do it the inverse and you have the tires slanted outwards. As long as all four tires are in the same alignment, you're perfectly fine. But what happens is if you just have one tire out of the four that's out of alignment, you can cause major issues to happen to your car. Suspension problems can happen, engine problems can happen, major issues can happen just from one tire being a little bit out of alignment. And so that's why when you do your tire rotations, they always tell you to make sure you get in alignment. A lot of people say they just want my money. No, if those tires aren't in alignment, the car cannot go where it needs to go. My goodness, I'm preaching to myself. So with that, you got to understand in your life, the same way tires have to be aligned, you have to be in alignment with your people, with your spouse, with your X, Y, and Z. The Bible says, how can two men walk together, or how can two people walk together unless they agree? That agreement is alignment. There has to be alignment in order for two people to even walk together. And so, what you have to understand is the same concept of tires. You have to be in alignment with your peers, with your friends, X, Y, and Z. When there's not an alignment, you're not moving in the right direction. And I think that's the clearest example I can use being a car guy on making sure that you're moving in alignment with the right people. So Clarence, what do you have to say about that as far as related to a car, related to X, Y, and Z? What do you have to say about that for alignment?
Man, you were dropping these early nuggets and preaching to the folks. And that was really good. I never thought about it. I really never thought about it that way. And so it's taking me a little minute to kind of gather my thoughts. But I mean, I think what you said is completely true. As I'm thinking about working on my car with my Nissan, trying to get it to be like a 4x4, four-wheel drive and having it ready for the mountains. And particularly one of my tires was out of alignment, and that literally jacked up how the car was riding. I was driving down a highway, 65 miles an hour, hit a bump, and that thing was like, oh, like bouncing and it swerved over to the road. When he took it in, got a line, 2 days later, I'm riding smooth again. And I think you're right, is that, the people that you're around, the people that you surround yourself with is very key to how you're aligned. And also the people that you may be in agreement with, people that you may be submitted to or listening to, however that may be, I think it's all vital to the entire system as a whole, which you as a person is a system of how you're aligned properly affects how you actually want to operate. So if you're aligning yourself with certain people that are not bringing value or bringing success or bringing some type of, bring something to the table, so to speak, I think that it can throw you off. You can kind of begin to operate in certain ways or bring in certain mannerisms that naturally is not a part of you, but yet since you're aligning in that kind of space, you're going to take on those kind of things or similar ideals. And so I think that's a really good way to put it. And I think that a lot of people I don't think people take in consideration how important it is to be aligned. Because once again, like you said, you gave a very clear example. I just want my money. And so people think that, oh, no, you're just trying to make excuses. No, you're just trying to do whatever. No, you're just trying to do this. It's like, no, like, check yourself. Like, really check internally. How are you aligning? How are you doing the things you're doing? Matter of fact, ask the question, why are you doing it this way? If you see there's an issue, are you going to be the guy that's just like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. I can fix it later on and make it a bigger issue. We can simply fix it now and identify it and go ahead and correct it now and then, be shared on from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on some things, man, and you talked about something that one tire on your Nissan being out of alignment caused suspension issues to take place, and once you got that one tire fixed, everything else was smooth. Right. And so a lot of people think that being misaligned is this big major thing that has to take place. There's 4 tires, so only 75% of your system was perfectly fine. It was 25%. Something very minute that was off that caused other issues to take place with a vehicle that was perfectly fine. Right. And so I think it's key to understand a little bit of misalignment can jack up a whole vehicle. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of misalignment can jack up a whole vehicle. And in our case, the vehicle is us. We are the vehicle. The alignment is our friends and our partners and our dreams and our desires. Those are the tires, right? And so if those things aren't in line with us, one little thing that's off can cause us to be completely off. And I talk to a lot of older gentlemen, and one of the things I always hear them say is, I wish when I was your age, I would have did X, Y, and Z. And it all goes back to alignment. I say, well, why didn't you do it? Well, back then, such and such and such and such and such. It's always about, something happened. Some deviated. They deviated off a path that they knew they could have been on. And it goes back to alignment. They just weren't aligned with the right people at the right time, at the right place to do the right things. And they know it, and we call that thing regret. That's what we call it. We call it regret. Is when people go back and say, oh, I wish I would have, or oh, I could have done X, Y, and Z. And one thing that I pledge my life to never do is to have a I wish or I wish I would have. Like that, if you ask my wife, you ask my family, I ain't got not one I wish. I'm doing everything I want to do because in my mind, I know I have to be in alignment and I have to move the ball forward. Otherwise, I'm going to be 40 and say, oh, man, I wish I would have invested in that. I wish I would have talked to that person. I wish I would have did that. And the wishing don't solve problems. It's too late. When you get the wishing, it's too late. This ain't a Wish a Dream Foundation. This is, like this real life. You either did it or you didn't. So with that, we talk about alignment. How do you get in alignment? I think it would be the question that would come to me if somebody tells me you're not in alignment. Well, how do you get in alignment? Once again, if it's a car, most people could care less. Just go back there and get my tires straight. Well, the way they do with cars is they actually put these radiographic devices on each tire. It shoots lasers at each other. Those lasers will then tell the technician how much to move that camera in and out so they can get a perfect laser shot at that other tire. And so they put them on both sides, and it's the frequency. Let's call it the frequency. They make sure the frequency is just right on each tire so they can move down the path. And with the frequency becomes everybody can't hear the same frequencies. Everybody doesn't see the same frequencies. And so they know it's in alignment when they get two. If you ever go look at a shop, it'll be a red and a green little light. And once this is green on both sides, that means, all right, it's in alignment. And if it's green on both sides, that means it's in alignment. And the technicians sign a dotted line, call it a day and walk away. And that means they're in alignment, right? In our personal lives, in order for us to get those greens, we have to be in agreement. Agreeing just means you're in agreement with the partners. You're in agreement with your spouse. You're in agreement with your mother. You're in agreement with your father. You're in agreement with your sister, your brother, your X, Y, and Z, your friends, your business partners, whoever it may be. But when there's red lights, it's a problem. Something's off. We got to fix it. And so, how do you do that? You first of all, it's the spiritual discernment, which I always tell people that's key. But the second part is, when you're in a relationship, because nobody wants to say they're in relationships. We are in relationships with everybody we communicate with, point blank, period. And in those relationships, you got a feeling on if you're rubbing somebody the wrong way, or if they're rubbing you the wrong way, or if it's, like there's a little wiggle, jiggle, it's like, something ain't right, and that's an indication that the alignment isn't there. In my personal opinion, I think you got to nip those buds in the joint before they even allow to grow. But when it comes to alignment, that would be my 2 cents on how to align, is to make sure you're with the right people, moving in the right direction, and that the green lights are on all the way around. It only remember, 25% of the entire system can cause the whole system to go down. So that's my 2 cents. Clarence, what do you have to say about that? How to be aligned?
I think what you said is definitely good. I think that's a very practical way, a very easy way to, you brought some wisdom to a point, you brought something to light, and then you kind of give some good application with it. I think another part of it too, from an internal perspective, from an internal introspective view, is, like, hey, is there something wrong here? Am I willing to identify that there is something wrong? Am I willing to identify, I am not aligned right now? Because some people are willing to, like I said, is overlook all the things that are off, the wiggle jiggly things that kind of like, I know something's off, but it's like, what? It is what it is. It's not. It is what I believe it is what you make it. It is what you allow it to be. Meaning that if some things are in your control to change, and you're willing to not change it, then be okay with the consequences. So like for me, from a military standpoint, as an NCO, I love when people bring me their problems or have issues with things, because guess what? We can now brainstorm. We can now maybe have a solution to it, or maybe, create this really cool iterative plan. Hey, how do we get you from here to here? Or how do we bring success, where you may be operating at a certain level that's not, what you wanting, or maybe you're getting results that you don't really desire, but yet that what you're doing or what you're putting into the system is not working. And so for people to actually become aware of like, like there is something off here, and you can make this simple change. Now, granted, it may cost you some skin in the game. It may cost you $240.55 to fix it, to get the alignment done, right? You could be like, hey, I could just let it go. Or you'd be like, you know what, there's something I need to fix now, because if I don't, it can become a detrimental piece later on to my development as a human being, as a person, as a future wife or husband, or even as a girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever. How a relationship is, that becomes very vital. And what happens is, it's kind of like also thinking of it as a rope. You can have let's say you have 50 strands in a rope that makes it. Now you may have 3 knots in that rope to make it strong, but if just one of those many strands within each one of those those strands of the rope is off, or they're not 100%, over time it become off and becomes weaker and weaker and weaker, and then when it becomes under a full load that's supposed to be technically rated for, it falls apart, it rips apart. And so same thing with your alignment. If you have things in your life that's like just slowly eating you away, it's slowly eroding you, slowly just it's causing you to change to be the person that you're not. It's putting you in places that you're not been about. Like, hey, like, what are your values? Identify those things that what makes you, right? And get back aligned, get back in step with who you should be. That's going to bring success. That's going to bring light. That's going to maybe sometimes bring light to some of the things that you actually need to work on. So I think you hit it well. I think sometimes it just takes you stopping, driving the car, taking it in, taking a real good look at some things, and actually being able to identify that there's something wrong there.
Cool. Yeah, and you hit on something earlier too that I don't know why I'm a car guy, man. I'm
Right.
always with cars. Yeah, I know. You hit on something about there being as you were going slower before you had your alignment, things were okay. But when you picked up speed, when you got up to speed, the issues began to notice, right? They were like, wait a minute, this thing is riding rough. What's going on? It's the same way with like you just kind of mentioned, that resistance. If the car has the right alignment, you could do 120, 130, and it's like all day, no problems. But if it's just off a little bit at 60 miles per hour, it's like a billy truck. And it's like, how is this possible that I went from something so smooth to something so raw? And with that, what I'm trying to get to is, I'll use a real life example about being in alignment when it comes to business, right? So, a lot of people, I do a lot of real estate transactions, a lot of real estate things. A lot of people will ask me like, hey Myron, man, like I'm trying to, get my first property and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, what are you looking at? They're like, man, it's $100,000, but I got to put 20% down, man. It's 20 grand I got to put down. I'm like, yeah, that's how much you got to put down. And I always teach people this: get yourself around people who are like-minded, who have the right alignment as you. And instead of you bringing out 20, why don't you get 4 partners to go in on the deal? And they're like, wait, what? What do you mean? So instead of bringing 20 to the table, you bring 5 to the table. And so now is a whole nother story. It's like, wait a minute. I got 5. I can make that happen. And it's like, wait, but do you have 20? Well, I got 20. I just don't want to put it all on one property. Well, instead of buying one property, go buy 4 properties with 4 people. And now you guys all have 4 properties for the same price as the 20. That's alignment. That's being around the like-minded people. Now you've accelerated your growth. Instead of getting 1, you got 4. You just quadrupled the amount of ability to buy by having the linkage to the like-minded in alignment with people who are thinking just like you. And so for me personally, in my real estate career, that's what happened. I got around like-minded people, and I had a bunch of cash, and I was like, yo, man, I'm about to go buy this one property. I'm about to put this money down. And then they were like, yo, if we split it, we can do blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, what? I can buy 10 instead of 1. Let's go, And so, that's just an example of being around like-minded people in an actual acceleration event. When I can accelerate in my car because I'm around like-minded people, able to get 10 times the return that I would be able to get unless I did it by myself. And that's the purpose of groups and being around other people. And that's the whole purpose of being around like-mindedness. Instead of you throwing all this money out there on one property, let's go buy an apartment complex. And it's like, wait a minute. I was just going to buy a single family home. Now I can buy a 30-plex. What? How? Like, I never would have been able to do that because I was by myself. I didn't know any better. But when I get around like-minded people, I get the exposure. I get the insight. I get the concepts that millionaires are doing, right? And so yeah, I just want to bring that out as a real life example in a business setting. When you're around like-minded people, you can accelerate and do things much greater and much faster than you can by yourself.
Yeah.
Any examples?
Man, well said. And I've got one thought, right, along with that. I talk about the alignment piece, and then as we kind of start transitioning into the like-minded people and having that proper circle of people around you, is that being able to identify with people. It's like, hey, like, how do I know if I'm properly aligned, if I'm not? And for me, I think that sometimes that people, I think that you kind of use the car example, right? So like for that example, my Nissan Xterra. My Nissan Xterra is going to be aligned differently than maybe like a sports car or, the 18-wheeler or, a Peterbilt, things like that. Because like, since they're different manufacturers, they have different manufacturing requirements. And so with people, it's very similar where we all have different things. We all kind of vibe differently. We say we value things differently. We're going to hear something different. We're going to smell something different. And so for you being able to identify that, just because you're around or you're trying to find this alignment piece or you're trying to understand what it means, just know that everybody is different. And so the people that you may have been used to hanging around, they might not be properly aligned to you. And that's okay because they don't think the same way you do. And so with that challenge of knowing that, like, hey, I know I'm not properly aligned, now comes the cool part. You know what? Well, how do I get around those like-minded people? How do I begin to get into that room where, I'm not just by myself. I'm not just trying to figure out, well, how does this, how am I supposed to, hey, what is this? Now you can build and try to associate yourself with people that's very like-minded, but yet the key thing is they're also properly aligned. They're also pursuing this path of knowing, I think that some things are off here. I need to get around the right people, because everybody don't value real estate. Everybody don't value, honor, courage, or whatever your values are. Sometimes your end goal may be different, and that's okay. But still being properly aligned with people who have a goal in mind is something I think that's valuable. But if you're around people who don't have a goal, who are not pursuing for more, who are not trying to get aligned, who are not trying to be better or pursue for more, then I think you probably may have to change, your environment. You have to change who you're hanging around because those people being in your life alone can literally throw your car for alignment. Every car, like I said, even with the alignment, we talk about tires, right? So every tire has a weight rating. Every car has a weight rating. And so if you overload that car, it ain't gonna work right. You can do all you want. You can have the perfect alignment. You can have the coolest designs on the car, decals, the cool window sticker, whatever. But if you exceed exactly what it was manufactured to do, outside of that, you will continue to break your car. And so even though you may have the proper alignment, so to speak, if you're not doing the things in a proper way or carrying a proper load, moving in the forward direction, because a car is not made to go sideways. It can't. Some cars can't. Every car don't crab walk, right? It don't move sideways, but some cars can. And so being able to identify like what makes you you, what makes you tick, what makes you passionate, what just burns you up, what fuels you up. You know what I mean? And everybody has that. And sometimes people don't spend time to slow down and act. It's like, like what does make me me? What does get me inspired? What does make me, just be making me passionate? And I think it took me years to find out for me. Like I love spending time with young children, with like young children, like early education. I found it for me, it's being able to make an imprint on young children to know, like, just because maybe a situation or maybe an environment, that's not the answer. That might be the full time solution, or they're not the end goal here. So I let there be around certain people with like-mindedness that is about bringing education to early college, and being around those kind of people like-minded in the community. Like I love this. I love the network I'm a part of. I love being around these people that bring value not to the community but to me myself. And so then for me, be able to value that, I'm bringing that same value to my family. And so now my children are able to benefit from seeing a father that's involved in their life, that involved in their education, and not from just now moving forward. Now moving one step at a time. And over time, we start moving faster. We start moving faster. So what makes you? What makes you tick? That way you can actually be a properly aligned, because you can't just go on some Pirelli and call it a day. Like it don't work that way. You got to make sure you're aligned properly to what you need. And it's not just me. It may not be always aligned to everybody else around you.
No, that you hit it on the nail. When it comes to what should you be aligned to, you're right. It's what's in you. What everybody, like you say, everybody's not a Nissan, and the Nissan, even though everybody might want to be an Xterra, everybody can't be an Xterra because they don't have the right suspension link, they don't have the right blueprint, they don't have the right engine, they don't have the right suspension links, they don't have the right X, Y, and Z, right? They don't have the right engine block, they don't have the right door frames, they don't have X, Y, and Z, right? And so with that, you have to know what you want and what you need. And when you can figure, and like you said, a lot of people are so busy rushing, doing what everybody else is doing and not doing what they need to do. And that is tough. Ooh, could you imagine a Toyota Corolla trying to be an Xterra, and you're getting ready to meet up with your Xterra friends, y'all getting ready to go off road, and the Corolla come to the first brick in the road and just bust out because it can't do what it's supposed to do. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. They see the Hummers and they see the Xterras and they say, ooh, I want to be like them. And then they go and they like, man, I'm just not strong enough yet. I'm not big enough. The thing is, you're not even created in the class to be with them. So you're trying to align with the group of individuals that you were never created to even be like. And they're now, for cars, unfortunately, they can't transform. Humans can, but they can't go out and say, today, this guy's a Hummer, and I want to be a Hummer in a few years. Yeah, you work out enough, you can be a Hummer in real life. But if for cars, that Corolla can never be that Hummer. And that Corolla, the other thing is, it's like the blueprint, right? The Toyota factory created that Corolla for its purpose to do what it's supposed to do. The GMC factory created that GM for its purpose to do what it needed to do. But if God created us for a purpose to do what we need to do, then we don't need to emulate things that are not us. We need to be asking God, what is it you're calling me to do so that I can stay in my lane and prosper and be a blessing to everyone I come around, instead of trying to copy and be the behaviors of the people that I'm seeing. And then one thing in Elevator Talk, our whole purpose is to elevate the mind, to get you guys to think outside the box. One thing you have to understand in life is what you started with probably won't end with. And what you started with now, you probably won't end with next year, right? Elevators go up, up, up. And if you go to New York, you ever get a chance to go to New York? They get on the elevator, 30, 40 people scram on, and at every floor it stops. 2 people get off, it stops. People get off, stop, people get off. And then people get off on their floor. And it's the same way, it's alignment. You get off on the floor that you're supposed to go to, not on the floor that somebody else is supposed to go to. And so in Elevator Talk, our whole goal is to get you to begin to think, to elevate your mindset, to elevate your thought process, to begin to understand, like Clarence said, slow down, look within yourself. What do you need? What are your desires? Where are you going? What is the spiritual discernment pointing to? Stop trying to do what X, Y, and Z is doing. Like you said, everybody's passion may not be real estate. It might be this, it might be that. But whatever it is, make sure you're in alignment. Otherwise, you're going to cause grave danger to your vehicle, which is you, and it only takes 25% to be off to cause grave danger. And so all we're telling you guys today is to be in alignment, be around people that are like-minded, and don't stop trying to be like everybody else, trying to keep up with the Joneses and all that stuff. None of that matters. At the end of the day, is what matters is what's in your heart, what's the desires that God has placed on you, and you need to be seeking that wholeheartedly. And I honestly believe when you seek it, He will begin to put the like-minded people around you. They're probably already there. They're probably just on mute because you're so busy trying to be like somebody else, you can't even hear what's going on. And so just be careful, and be aware, to take the mute button off, and to hear the people around you that are pushing you in the direction that you feel that God is calling you to go in. And so that's my 2 cents.
No, I mean, you like I said, I really don't think there's much to add on there, and I won't go on to another rant about it. I think you summed it up well. I think you blew out all the candles in that cake pretty well. And I challenge you guys. I challenge those who are listening or those who are seeing this. If you're like, man, like, okay, like if you're asking yourself that alignment question, be honest with yourself. Be honest. Like, ain't nobody else ashamed but you. So ask that question and be honest with yourself. And then, and like I say, if you want to make the change, make the change. And if you want to keep complaining and not make changes, well, just be okay with the consequences. Just know that, as you don't change what you put in, don't expect the result to change. So if you want to change what you put in, then expect a change result. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I think it was a great discussion, great topic. I applaud you for bringing this up and just once again coming out with that great tool of wisdom, but yet bringing that practicality to it. I think a lot of people, they get so much stuff throughout the day. Oh, do this, be great, be amazing, be a superstar, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, how? Like, how do I do it? And so I think you done a good job, sir. So I thank you for that. And that's all I got.
When I get a salute from the NCO, I mean I did it, y'all. I did now. No, I appreciate it, man. It's always a joy and love spending time with you, Clarence. Appreciate you for taking time today. I know it's a little late your time, but appreciate you for joining in the camera. Love it, man. I'm sure the audience loves it. But appreciate it, guys. This is our discussion, Elevator Talk, episode 4, alignment. We hope you guys are encouraged. We hope something was said that would uplift you, bring you out of your comfort zone if it needs to. But being in alignment is going to be key and crucial for your success, for your destiny, and for all that you are, for your family. Like I say, if you're not in alignment with your wife, your marriage is struggling right now. If you're not in alignment with your job, your work is struggling right now. If you're not in alignment with your kids relationship is struggling right now. If you're not in alignment with the foods you eat, your body's struggling right now. Your body's going through all types of stuff if you're not in alignment. So alignment is not just about people. It's about everything. Everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep. If you're not drinking enough water, your body is in alignment with the alkaline level that it needs. And it's just the pH level is off. And you guys know about pH. The pH has to be right in order for the blood to flow correctly. And so, I mean, it's just everything has to be in alignment. And so we just want to encourage you guys today to think about it if you haven't thought about it, and to really, hopefully this encourages you to take a step back, slow down, see what you desire, look and see what you want, and then go pursue it. And then hopefully God will bless you with like-minded people and put you in the right place to where you have others who will motivate you to chase those dreams. But that's this episode 4, Elevator Talk, alignment. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a good rest of the day, and come back again for episode 5. And we got something good for you coming soon. So thank you guys for joining us. Clarence, anything else?
All good here.
All right. That is a wrap. Episode 4, Elevator Talk, alignment.